Hello, everybody. Welcome to our inFlow webinar today on Zapier. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying Zapier. I don't know why I have it stuck that way in my head. I believe it is Zapier because it is a Zap. My name is Philip. I'm part of the customer support team. I am joined by actually some new faces that you may not have seen before, at least on our webinars. So we've got Martin here from our sales team.
Hey, everyone.
We have Roberta. Sorry, there you go. Yeah, Roberta, who actually can't talk at the moment because she is moderating in our chat, is our customer support lead, actually. So she'll be in there trying to help answer questions or gather them so that we can answer them at the end. And we're also actually joined by Luca, who is one of our developers who was, I think at the time you were still QA on this, right? Not developing, but you've now switched over. So hopefully a big warm welcome to them. Thank you for them joining in. We'll wait a couple minutes while people keep joining in. If you want to say hi in the chat where you're from or anything like that too. It's just afternoon here on a nice snowy day in the GTA. Oh, I see Sterling, Thomas.
I see some people in that chat too. Hey, Basira. Hey, Jim.
Skyla, hello. Thomas. Oh, from the Netherlands. Nice. Do you guys, what's the weather like in the Netherlands right now? I know we complained that it's getting cold and snowy, but I would imagine it's even more so there. Colorado. Oh, from Mauritius, no snow there. Nice. Okay. Well, we'll give it another minute or two. I think while we're waiting, I have prepared people on the team know that I am known for usually doing either really bad like dad jokes or trying to come up with something interesting to do in meetings and different things like that. So I have prepared a few very bad jokes that will hopefully get you groaning nice and early in the afternoon here. So we'll start it off with, why did Thor lose his lightning powers? With that amazing gift from Home Alone there. Why did he lose his lightning powers? Because his father grounded him. It's so terrible, I love it. Or, I used to wonder how lightning worked, but then it struck me. These are the amazing things that you can expect from our wonderful webinar. And last but not least, an orchestra was hit by lightning, but only the conductor felt it. Yeah, I cracked myself up. So today's topics, again, we are all here to talk about inFlow and how it works with our integration Zapier. So we're gonna go over kind of quickly what Zapier is, kind of a high level overview of it, go over a few important kind of tips about it, and then both Martin and Luca have prepared some awesome demos and stuff that they can walk through, kind of actually setting up some Zaps. And actually, I forgot to add it on here. We do have a giveaway at the end. So if you stick around and answer a quiz, it is 5 multiple choice questions. They are not hard, but if you are paying attention, and then kind of the fastest person who answers them can win, I believe it's like $100 gift card. So
not hard.
And no, Jim, we cannot hear you laughing. Although it probably would have made it a little better, you know, at least comedians and stuff, they get that reaction back, not just the crickets. But yeah, so we'll get started and get to the good stuff. So yeah, what is Zapier? It is essentially a tool that helps you automate repetitive tasks. You use it to create what they call Zaps, so that's the main component of them, and it essentially tells their app what to do based on different conditions. So these are always made up of a trigger. So this is the event that starts the Zap. So in terms of like inFlow, that can be a lot of different things like creating a sales order or a purchase order or updating the status of that. And then having an action. This is what the task that you want Zapier to actually complete after the fact. So again, it could be like sending a message, it could be updating a calendar, it could be something like that kind of thing. And then the really cool thing is that Zapier connects with hundreds of different apps. So the possibilities are literally endless. Like it's really just up to kind of what you can imagine, what you can kind of think, and what you can kind of figure out. Because it's sometimes it's not the easiest thing to set up, but a lot of the time you can kind of work your way through and figure out how to get all the pieces together, which is really, really cool. So yeah, so just kind of a couple really quick examples. I could create a sales order, which is again our trigger in Flow. That would send the information to Zapier, which again, it's take information, it's everything that we kind of pass from it. So that's things like your customer, your location, the products on it, the prices, like discounts, like taxes, any of that kind of stuff. The customer's email address, again, if you want to send them like a message or something, and then Zapier will do what you've configured it to do. So in this case, it could be like send an email. So that would be the action of it. Something that I know people have asked for kind of a long time is another one where if we create a sales order, Zapier can again receive the information that we send it and send that to ShipStation, which could create an order over there. And then you could have kind of the reverse, that ShipStation, once an order is created there, it will send that information back to Zapier, which could then update inFlow with that shipping information. So again, kind of just a couple really simple examples of things that you could automate and make your life a little easier. Now, I won't read through all of these because it's pretty much everything that that you can do in inFlow, but these are all the different triggers and actions that you can do. So again, triggers are things like new or updated sales or purchase orders, quotes, manufacturer orders, stock transfers, even things like count sheets, products or the customers and vendors themselves. And then the actions, again, are limitless kind of things. So you can create any of those types of things. You can also update all of those kinds of things. So you can update like a sales order with more information, or a customer or vendor or product or something like that. We also support what are called like find actions. So this is where you can then find like a certain piece of information inside inFlow, like a customer or vendor, and then use that information in like another step in Zapier. And then we also have what are called find and create actions. So this is where if you're searching for something and it doesn't exist, it can then actually create it. So this would mainly be for like products or customers or vendors or something. So say in one of your other systems, you create a product, it looks in inFlow to see if it exists. If it doesn't, then it can create it. Now, in terms of how do you connect to Zapier, you can actually do this really easily inside inFlow itself. You go to your integration page, sorry, click on Zapier, and then you can enter in your login details to your account there. From there, you can then actually connect, create, and manage all of your different Zaps without ever having to leave inFlow. And this also does give you access to your existing Zaps as well. But you can also still access Zapier directly from their site as well. So if you did want to go over there, then you can definitely do that too. And I see Travis had actually asked a question. Are Zapier Zaps limited to webhooks inFlow API has available, or are there more options available? So I don't believe anything relating to MOs is available via the API webhooks, and that's a great question. So no, Zapier actually is not reliant on the webhooks. These are all actual things set up specifically to interact with Zapier itself. So there are more actions available than just the webhooks. So again, like as we said, manufacturer orders, stock counts, all those kinds of things which don't have webhooks right now. Cool. So yeah, a couple important tips before we get to kind of the demo portion of it. Zapier has things called variables. So if you're like a developer or anything like that, these would be probably very common to you, but essentially a variable is just something, it lets you take the data from one of the apps that you're connecting and use it in another app. This will make a little more sense when you see Martin or Luca going through these, but essentially something you can think of it like when you make a sales order we pass that information to Zapier. The sales order number is a variable that you could use. The customer name is a variable. The location, the products, like all those different things are variables that you're then able to use again in those further steps. You can access those either by typing a backslash, or sorry, a forward slash, I always get that wrong, and then typing in kind of what it is, or by pushing the little plus button that they have on the sides of the Zaps when you're building them, and then you can search for them and add them there. Another really handy thing to know is that you can turn on and off your Zaps. There's a little toggle on each of them. So if you have one that either you use periodically or don't need all the time, you don't have to delete it. You can turn it on and off, but just again, kind of a good thing to know. We do, wherever possible, mark down what are required fields. So you're going to get a lot of different options when you're doing all these different things, and not everything is required. So again, like if you're creating a sales order, you always have to have a customer. So that will be a required field, and you'll see any required field with a little star, and it will say that it's a required field on there. Things that then are optional, if you leave blank, inFlow will be able to understand, and it'll either fill it in with something that it knows of, or it'll leave it blank as well, kind of thing. So again, kind of anytime you see that asterisk, you know that it's required, and you can put in the correct stuff. Now, a little more on kind of like the troubleshooting side of things, Zaps actually have a run history. So in Zapier itself, you can use this to see the information that's being passed through and kind of debug or figure out if something's either not working correctly. This is something that we don't have access to, like on the support team ourselves. So like this is all in your Zapier account itself. So if you're running into issues or anything, using the Zap history can be very helpful and very useful. And you can actually kind of go through all those steps to see information went. And like if you set up things that are like branching paths or something like that, you can see, oh yes, it's had this amount and it went one way or the other. Then you can kind of figure out where that went. Another important thing that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering is, well, with this integration, is there like a cost or something associated with it? So this is in terms of pricing for Zapier itself. They do have a free account, and you can connect inFlow to Zapier using that free account. I've highlighted on here the professional plan, which starts at $29. This is in USD. That's per month. I think you save 30% if you go yearly. The free account will work. The problem with it is that they do limit you on a few things, and the main thing that you're being limited on is that you can only have one action and one trigger, so only like a two-step process. A lot of things you'll need more than that, because you'll need to look up, say, a sales order in inFlow, then do something with it, and then do something else again. So for that, you would need an actual paid plan with Zapier. So again, starting at the $29.99 would give you more than enough for majority of people's access and everything. So that is something also just to kind of keep in mind. And so this will bring us to our demo portion. Let me just stop sharing here.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, super excited to share these with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen here. And as I'm doing that, just to kind of preface what we're going to be seeing, we're essentially going to be seeing two relatively simple Zaps. And one, I have a pre-recorded video with, because it requires like the mobile app, and the other one will be building and testing live, and right from scratch. So the first one, with the pre-recorded, the function would be in the case of an in-person delivery, to collect the customer's delivery confirmation with a signature. So in this case, through Zapier, I've combined Bolt Sign as well. You can use DocuSign or Sign Now, essentially a tool that can allow the user to send a document from a preset template, and then on that document, there will be a field where the signature is collected, and then once collected, to essentially store that information. So let me share my screen here real quick to kind of showcase the first one.
Awesome. And while you're just getting that shared, I'm just going to answer a question that we had quick. Austin had asked, if you already have inFlow linked to QuickBooks, can you use Zapier, to fill in the gaps between inFlow and QuickBooks? And saying that our integration doesn't transfer everything, so I was just wondering if we can use it to without having to build out the integration again. And so yes, in a sense you could. You could have both connected at the same time. I mean, you'd have to be careful just to make sure that like you're not kind of double adding things, like if you're trying to create other kind of like entries or something like that in there, which you can do as well. But yeah, if you're trying to just like add, I know some people want like the PO number to get like added to like a custom field in QuickBooks or something like that. Doing those kinds of things would for sure work. So that should definitely be possible to do as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. And yeah, this is essentially the first Zap that we're going to see when it comes to collecting in-person's signature. And essentially, it does also require the usage of, in this case, bold sign in a little bit of a special way, because usually that's a tool where you can send to other members or other, like your customers, for them to sign through their email. And in this case of how we've configured it, I have sent the recipient email to, in this case, it will be the delivery staff's email. So they can pull it up on their own phone, open up that document immediately, and collect the customer signature with the customer, with the document, newly created document title being the sales order number. That will be that variable. So then they can cross-reference a signature by the document name to the actual order number. And yeah, that's the first one. And I'll create a quick video here that we're going to see. The second one is perhaps more common. It would be setting a purchase order expected delivery date, pushing that to Google Calendar, for example, and updating if it already exists. So yeah, let's take a look at the first one. So the trigger that we see will be a new or updated sales order from inFlow, and I've connected my inFlow account here. In the second portion that we're going to see, I've only added one filter, which is only continue if the inventory status, this is a variable. And when you see this grayed out kind of preview here, that's just to indicate clearer which fields variable, which fields data are you using, but that is not the actual data that would proceed with. So when that field, inventory status, exactly matches fulfilled, then continue. In here, you can add other filters as well. For example, you can add a custom field on the sales order, call it in-person delivery question mark, and have it be a check mark, and have that be a parameter. So only with that checked as well is when it would continue, right? So yeah,
Right.
use those as you see fit. And when it comes to the bold sign action, a couple of things that we have to create first is, number one, choose a template, which I've already created a template from a PDF that I've created just to keep it simple. I just call it one field, recipient signature. From there, in my bold sign account, I've created a template, give it the according name, and that's why I can select that as part of this Zap, this template. And I've turned sandbox mode equals true because I am on the bold side trial account. And then the recipient name would be the customer name. The key thing here would be the recipient email. In this specific use case, it will be your delivery staff's email, because that would hit their inbox. And the document title, which is very important as well. It would reference to the variable, which is the order number. Which order are you delivering? So when you put that all together, I have a quick video here. So usually when in-person delivery, the most common application that the user will be working off of would be the mobile app. So in this case, this is the app with a order already created. What we're going to see is what happens when it gets marked as fulfilled. So this is what the screen would show when the delivery driver delivers the package. So right from there, so that just got created, we mark this as fulfilled. And what happens is, through that Zap, we will receive an email right there. We can open that up. The document created would reference the order number. And this is the window they can turn their own device's screen to the customer to essentially for them to put in their super realistic signature. And hit finish. After that's done, through bold signs, settings, they will also receive information with a newly signed document named after the order number. So they can do some cross-referencing that way. And you can combine that signature along with the actual sending of the order confirmation from inFlow over to the customer's email as well. So now you can have both. So yeah, that would be that portion. And let's go ahead and actually create our own Zap. And we're going to work with a relatively simple one,
Actually,
which
sorry,
is
hold on. I'm going to
yes.
jump in. And actually, Luca, maybe you want to speak to this one, but we got a great question here from, I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce the name, but Shuanga. In Martin's demo, the trigger is new or updated sales order. The filter checks if the SO is fulfilled. How do I check if this is a new or updated SO? There's no sales order modified date time or anything. So I know there's kind of a few different ways of doing it. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, so we actually don't send the last modified date with the new or updated sales order. So what we suggest you do is to use either Zapier table or storage to keep track of if it's new or updated. So that's a route you can take.
Cool. And so essentially that's kind of other built-in features of Zapier that they have, where you can actually store that information and it will remember it. So I think in that kind of a situation, you most likely be storing like the sales order ID, and probably, I guess, like the date created or something like that. And that way you can always then reference back to that table to see if it's been either like new or if now it's updated kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, and that create, like, for example, checking if it's existing or not. We're going to see another example of this through this Zap as well. You can certainly go through the table scenario and also combine that with some of the filters that you might have there already. For example, that filter was just passing through fulfilled orders. So if it's a new order that just got logged, it won't get sent over since it's unfulfilled. But yeah, depending on case by case, I guess, you can combine those different things to get the outcome that you want. And in this specific Zap that we're going to build from scratch and test from scratch, it will just be setting up a purchase order expected delivery date and putting that to your Google Calendar. So whoever's viewing the calendar will be able to see that. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and create a sample purchase order first. Just making sure I'm in the right account. Cool, perfect. So let's go ahead and create a new PO, something that we can work with to receive and set a date on. So this is PO number 9, example, and I'm just going to add some sample things on there. For example, 10 units of this item, and have a set delivery date to, let's say, this Friday, November 14th. Cool. And it's always recommended that you at least have one sample on there when you're building this app so you can kind of test that out. So right now, when I go to the trigger would happen somewhere in inFlow. So I can search for inFlow inventory, and then it would choose the account that we're connecting to. And I'm going to choose my own account here. And then the event, we would see part of the options will be new or updated. Oh, sorry, this is purchase quote. So let me change that. We want new or updated purchase order as the trigger. And we can also test this trigger as well. And then from here, we will see this new order that we just created, and you can see some of the data that's already, pre-filled over there. So, for example, there's a requested ship date that does have that information, so we can continue with the selected record as our test. And before setting up the action items, just like like with the fulfilled order, we might not want to pass like every single thing. For example, a new PO that we don't know the expected delivery date yet certainly doesn't need to be triggered by the Zap, or any new updates on a purchase order that has already fully been fulfilled doesn't need to even trigger the Zap as well. And that's where we can implement this filter parameter. And then part of that filter, and then it does a rule group based. So the first thing it would make the most sense is that we want to make sure the requested ship date field and that it exists, that field has data. right? The other thing that we might want to make sure of is the status, the inventory status. It contains, let's say, unfulfilled, right? But what about started, right? So right now, in order for a PO to pass over, it has to fulfill both of these criterias, right? But what about partial fulfillment that you're waiting on the rest of the shipment on? So we can create another rule group, add an or rule group. So we can create that group here, and then we will need to make sure that the requested ship date also exists in this group, and the status, it contains started, right? So right now it needs to pass through one of these groups. In each group, there is 2 rules that it needs to satisfy, every single one under those according groups, right? So we can click continue here. And in this case, our Zap would continue, right? Because that does fit the first group that we've created there. So we can go ahead and can continue. And then once that happens, we can go ahead and create. What we want to do is in the Google Calendar, in the calendar that we choose. So I have this test calendar here that I have open on the right side. And the event, we want to create a detailed event. And let's go ahead and configure right there. The first thing, choose which calendar we're using. So we're using this calendar here. And the summary. This is essentially the title of the calendar event. So you can name this however you want in combination with some static values and some variable values. So for example, static values would be expect delivery, colon, and then the variable value may be the order number, right? So, and then in the description of that event, you can choose to add perhaps some item names, vendor names, things like that. I'm just going to keep it simple right there and just do the summary. And then by looking at this order number, they know which number to look for when they log back into inFlow. And for the rest, not all fields are necessary. For example, a meeting location, certainly not necessary. Conferencing information, certainly not necessary. The start and finish time. Over here, we probably want to put this as that requested ship date, which is the delivery date, expected delivery date, right? Repeating frequency, we don't really need that. Is it an all-day event? I'd like to put it as yes, so that shows up on the top for that day, especially if we're on like a weekly view. And then for the attendees, you can add some other members that you might want to, notify through this as well. You can choose a color and use default reminder. I'm going to say no, because I can set up my own reminders within my Google account. I don't need to rely on Zapier for that. And for the rest, I think that's, we can just leave it as is, and we can go ahead and hit continue. And then we can go ahead and actually test this step, right? And there's a check marks here, so it's all good. And we can see on this Google Calendar, there's an expected delivery, exactly how we set up with the variable value as PO number 9, right? But one of the things I've also brought up before, what if it already exists, right? What happens if I go into PO number 9, I get a call from the supplier, they're telling me that there's going to be a week late, and I update this field. Based on the current setting, whenever I updated it, that will still match the current criteria. It will still pass the filter, and it will still create another event where actually we want to eliminate that duplication. So in this case, we need the Zapier, we need the Zap to first see if it exists and have the according action, depending on if it already exists or not. Only create one if that event doesn't exist, and update the existing one if it does exist, right? So what we can do here is that find feature that Phil kind of mentioned, followed by path, where we can dictate that path, which path to follow, depending on the result of the find. So in this case, where are we looking for that event? We will be looking for that in Google Calendar. We can choose the action event. It would be find the event in this according calendar. We can go continue. And then from here, we can choose a calendar that we're looking in. And in terms of all the other portions, what's important here is the search terms. So based on what we have already set to create, we can copy this exactly right there. And that's exactly what it would search. Oops. No search term, there we go, right there. So that's what it would search. This would be a variable. And there's a little spiel here to essentially indicate to you that since we put expect delivery as part of the search term, it will, just because another event has the same PO number, if it doesn't have expect delivery in that event, it will not match with that. So that's to eliminate it looking for another event, perhaps calling it payment due in the PO number, for example. Right, and then the rest we can pretty much leave it as is. And the most important thing here as well is the Zap successful if no results are found? The answer is yes, because we certainly don't want it to just stop there. We want it to split into a path. So I'm going to flip it to true, right? If no results were found, it continues anyways. Go ahead and continue with that, and then we can test out this step. So from the test, as expected, it did find that event because we just synced that over. And then following that, what we can do is one of the core features of Zapier as well is creating a path, right? And this path is essentially, it just splits it into the different logic, different paths, if you will. So right here, create detail event happens under this path, and then we can configure the different path conditions, right? Only continue under this path if it fits this path condition. So in that condition, we can say, well, it would only create one if we didn't find any in step number 3, right? So what we can do is only continue is if in number 3 and the Zap was found status, it contains false. So it was not found, then it would proceed to create that detail event with the according setting that we've already inputted, and that's how this event got created. So we're going to continue with that. See, right now it's telling us this example would not have continued for this test order because it already exists. So let's go ahead and continue with that. Cool. And for the other Zap conditions, we just want to do the opposite. We want to continue if in number 3, if the Zap was found status contains true. So if it is found, then instead of create, right, over here it tells us it would have continued. So instead of create, we want to update. So we go to the Google Calendar to choose update event. And as we're configuring it in the calendar, it's asking us, okay, what event do we want to update? Now, by default, it shows some static value here. This might seem like the right answer. However, static value isn't what we want. We want a variable value. And actually, we can search by the search term of the PO number, but then we run into other risks with like duplicates, for example. So in the event that it looks for, we can go more direct. We can go, if it follows, if it clears this path condition, then the event that it updates is exactly what was found in step number 3. So we can choose a custom value, go to step number 3, and choose the ID that it ran through step number 3 with, right? And then in terms of updating that event, we can keep the summary the same, or we can, if it's an update, we can choose updated delivery as a static value. I'm just going to put in the expected delivery, the same thing. And for the rest, I'm going to leave it as the same thing as well. The start time would be The start and end time would be the requested ship date. The repeating frequency, I'm not going to worry about that. Is it an all-day event? I still want to keep it as an all-day event. Default reminders, I'm going to flip that to a no. And for all other things, I can leave it as is. So we can update that event, and then we can test this step. I didn't actually update that event, but it seems like it has passed that test. So with that, let's go ahead and we can go ahead and do a test run. For example, let's create a new version of this to set the same PO to receive it by next week, November 21st. Right? And with that, when we go to do a test run, we can refresh this page, and then we should see a new version that just came through. And just want to make sure that it did pull in the most updated version. Perfect. November 21st, right there. And then we can do a quick test run. And then this is where we start praying.
I think you set it up. I don't think we need to pray too hard. I think you got it.
Cool. So in this case, it has gone through that test successfully and updated the event. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, we can see that in the calendar, 14th, there's no event there anymore. When we go to next week, the expected delivery date is in PO, right? So in this case, just to kind of, we can now publish this Zap. Give it a name. So now this Zap.
That's one thing I always forget.
To publish it, yeah, kind of important. So yeah, the next thing I can do is let's go ahead and just test it out once it's still published as well, just to kind of wrap this whole example up. We're going to make another PO number 10 in this case. And first, I'm not going to set any delivery date. So really, we shouldn't see anything because it didn't match any of the rule groups that we've created until I have, let's say, set a delivery date on Monday the 17th. That is an unfulfilled status. And over here, let's go ahead and do a quick refresh. There we go. Thank God. PO number 10 it shows up under Monday the 17th. And later on, when we decide, let's say if there is a delay, and then that got pushed by a couple of days to the November 20th. Let's save that. Let's give it a couple refresh.
Yeah, sometimes the Zaps are not necessarily instant, but
yeah, in this case, and it did push over to the 20th. So the Zap, finds the existing ones and it updates that accordingly. So that Zap, so far, so good. Yeah, so those are the two samples that I have for you guys here today. Yeah, we can kind of hop back to, if we have time. How are we doing on time, Phil?
I think how long is yours, Luca? I think we might have time or even if you want to show part of it, kind of thing.
Probably like 10 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we got time. I made the quiz easy and short for everybody. So if you want to start setting up, Luca, we'll go through one more example. And in the meantime, we'll just quickly answer. I saw another question had come in from Thomas, who was saying that he doesn't use inFlow for selling. They use it for local inventory, and they send their consumables by using SOs and tools through stock transfers. And they were wondering if there's essentially a way to connect it with Monday.com to pull some information, I guess, from their inFlow into Monday.com. So I'm going to share actually in the chat. Zapier has a really cool page, zapier.com/apps. If you go to this page, it's actually like their search page where you can type in any different app or integration you want to see. And so Monday.com actually does have a connection with Zapier. Now you do have to check in to see if it has the exact actions or triggers or anything like that you may need. But like I do see on here that like you can move things from different boards or groups. You can I guess like create new boards. I'm not familiar with Monday myself, so I'm not exactly sure how you'd be using it. But so with this kind of a situation, you most likely could then pull information from inFlow and then do something with it in Monday.com through Zapier itself. So it may be something you wanna take a look into, and yeah, it looks like you could do something.
All right, sweet. Thanks, Phil. So for my demo, I'm going to take you guys through one of our samples apps and using that to set up a Zap for yourself. So I'm going to paste the link of this samples app that we have if you want to follow along. But basically the Zap, what it does is it will automatically route order locations based on the shipping address country or any shipping address. Like you can set it up any way you want. So I'm kind of gonna go into that a bit. Just as a precursor, I've set up an inFlow account here with 2 order locations, Canada location and US location. And the Canada location is the default. So I'll take you guys through setting this app up. I've connected to Zapier already, and then we can just go and make from the samples app. So to find a samples app, you can once you're in Zapier on the in inFlow side, you can go down to connect this app with this one and type in tables. So this Zap integrates with Zapier tables, and then you'll find our samples app here, and you can just click use this workflow, and this will open it up a new samples app with Zapier that you can customize to your needs. Let me just stop their AI beta here. And yeah, so it already has most of the Zap filled out. You'll have to update a few things, but it's nice to start from a template. So I'm just going to connect this account here and go from there. Let's test this trigger. And actually, I think in order to make it easier, I'm going to open this in the Zapier window so I can show you guys what's happening on the sales order side. So here, I'll open our sales orders, and then I'll find this Zap that I just started making in the Zapier window. So I've connected my inFlow account, and I've tested it with some triggers. Let's find some records. So I have this sales order here, sales order 4, that I'm going to use. Let me just show you guys what it looks like here. So this is a US customer with a US billing address, but currently in inFlow it's set to our Canadian location, and we wanted to fulfill from our US location. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to use Zapier tables. So Zapier tables are essentially like a database on the Zapier side, which you can use to keep track of some records. So I've preset a table, but it's pretty simple to get to. If you go to Zapier home, and then on the side, you have tables here, you can create tables like this. I've gone ahead and set up a table already. A very simple table with 2 columns, one country column and one info location column, and this will serve as our mapping for if the country in an order is Canada or USA, which info location to route it to. This is the table. So back to our Zap, we're going to set up the find records action for Zapier table. So from our info sales order that's new or updated, we're going to do a lookup on the table of that country in the order and match it to the info location. So I'm just going to select the table here. And then the lookup field we're going to use is country. And then the operator is exactly, so exactly matches. And then I'm going to use the backslash or / operator here to find the country from the first step. So shipping address country here is USA. Can use that. And then that's all we need to set up. So click continue and then test step. Okay, looks like that worked. It got the US location. And then the next step, it's a nice rule of thumb to keep is always do a find action on inFlow. So in our tables, I could have mapped just the UUID, the GUID of the location that we have in inFlow, but that stuff can change, like maybe someone deletes a location or something. So it's always safest to just do a find action to make sure you pull the right thing. So I'm going to do a find action, and then here I'm going to replace this sample text with the variable that we pulled up from the table, so the info location here, and continue and test this step. It should find the US location in our inflow account, and it did. So it found the location ID. And then the next step we're going to do is a filter. So this filter is just to prevent a loop of happening where once you update location, it'll keep triggering the zap. So here we're just going to check that the location is not already set to what it's supposed to be. So this will essentially just do the update action only if the location is different from what it's supposed to be. So here we will fill in the location from our step 3 find a location action. And that will be the location ID. So not this one, sorry, from step 3 location ID. And this filter should move over. So yeah, it would have continued for this data because the location is different. Remember that we have Canada location here, and then we want to set it to the US location. So let's continue. And then finally, we have the update action. So we're going to update the sales order with the new location we want to add in. So in our update actions, only the fields that you map will be updated. Everything you leave blank will not be updated and will remain the same. So don't worry about if you don't have to map everything to keep the data. So I'm only going to map sales order ID here because it's required, and I'm going to update the location ID. I like to use a search because we have a lot of fields on sales order. So this is an easy way to find some fields, and I'll update this with the location ID from step 3. Okay, cool. So now I'm just going to test this step and see if it'll update in inFlow. And it should update. Yep, so it updated. Looks like it went through. So if I refresh this page, we should see that it's now updated to the US location. So you can go ahead and publish this once it's set up. And just a quick note, like you don't have to map it only by country. Like tables are pretty dynamic, so you can fit it to the needs that your company has. So you can maybe, if it's by state, you have locations by state, map it that way or however you want. This is just an example with countries. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Bring it back to you, Phil.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Hopefully, again, I know these are kind of only like 3 examples or out of like a billion possibilities that are out there, but kind of we hope that it shows that there are different ways of kind of working around all these different needs or problems that your specific businesses might have or want, and that using both inFlow and Zapier together like this, you might be able to find a solution for it. Again, it may not always be like a super simple, easy kind of way of doing it, but there are kind of a lot of different ways of doing it. So awesome. Yes. Well, thank you very much to everybody for joining and participating with us. Again, huge thank you to Martin, to Luca, and Roberta for helping out with the webinar, again, showing those amazing demos. And if you have questions, comments, or feedback or anything like that, you can always reach out to us at support@inflowinventory.com. We love to hear it, and that's how we also kind of improve. We take all that and share it with the rest of our company. And I mean, if you build something really cool with Zapier as well, let us know. Maybe we can make it into some of these like templates and stuff like that and share it with other people in the community and stuff like that. So Luca, Martin, I don't know if you have any
Awesome.
final
Yeah,
words you want
thank
to
you
say.
so much, Phil, and thank you, Luca. And yeah, Roberta as well. I've been managing the chats. Most importantly, thank you everybody that attended this webinar here today. We were super excited to present this to you, and yeah, we look forward to chatting with you guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon then, and we will see you in the next one.
Enjoy the day, everybody.